It's. Are we? Start. Everything's ready to start. Super. Yeah. Calling to order the September 19th, 2024 meeting for the Historic Resources Commission here at 4 p.m. We are in 111, room 204, 111 North Front Street. The next business meeting of the commission will be Thursday, October 3rd, 2024 at noon, next door in room 205. The next hearing of the commission will be October 17th, that's on a Thursday, also at 4 p.m. here in room 204, 111 North Front Street, second floor. Swearing in of the staff, Jack. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
I do, Jacqueline Mizell.
Thank you. And introduction of the commissioner, starting here on my far right.
Cynthia Hunt.
Matt Leisure, Joe McCabe.
Mike Ford.
Speaker Baba.
Thank you. And are there any items for public forum?
There are no items for public forum.
Okay, having none, moving on to the approval of the staff approvals.
So moved.
Having a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to approval of the minutes from last meeting, which is August 15th, 2020.
So moved.
Having a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes, minutes approved. On to applications for certificates of appropriateness this evening, and starting with continued application, application number 1, 10 to 20 East Deshler Avenue.
So this, do you want to have the applicant come?
Yeah,
up?
we can have the applicant. Sir, do you want to come forward?
You're here for 1020 East Deshler, is that correct?
If you want to raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening?
I do.
If you could state your full name and association with the property correctly.
I'm Brian McCann. I'm resident property manager.
Wonderful, sir. If you could have a seat.
Okay.
Next up.
This application is proposing to replace existing steel windows with new gel-lined windows due to deterioration in existing hardware. So an application to replace previously installed vinyl windows with windows from the group list and repair existing steel windows was approved by the Brewery District Commission in December 2023. And then the new windows selected from that group windows list with the gel-lined sideline aluminum clad windows. The original application was the result of a code violation, including installation of sub-release vinyl windows. So at the last hearing, the HRC hearing in July 18th, the commission had asked that the applicant bring window specifications for the proposed new replacement windows, a physical sample of the proposed replacement window, and then documentation confirming which windows were proposed for replacement. So the applicant has submitted the documentation for the windows proposed for replacement, and you should be able to see them on screen or a couple of ones up. So they have circles indicating which windows will be replaced. So the commission will need to discuss whether the proposed gel-lined window is an appropriate replacement for the steel windows, or whether an alternate window would be more appropriate replacement for the steel windows. So staff recommends approval of application HR 24-07011 at 10 to 20 East Deshler Avenue with the following conditions. And that is that applicant submit the windows quote or schedule to staff with the window selection from the approved windows list that matches the original windows. The basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 3116.11 standards for alteration, specifically numbers 2, 5, 6, and 12. And then the guidelines regarding windows for the Columbus Register Historic Property Guidelines, as well as the Brewery District Guidelines, which basically say the same thing about the windows. And there are also the amendments to the City of Columbus Architectural Review Commission Guidelines, and there's also on window replacement.
Great. Thank you. Is there anything the applicant would like to add before we get our discussion?
I was asked at the last time I was here to bring in a picture similar to this to indicate which windows were to be replaced. It's identical on the other side of the building. We also, this one here, I had the window bidder Photoshop the new windows into have you noticed that they resemble the windows that were there before? So that's what you asked me to do, and that's what I've done. The operation of the windows will be sash as opposed to crank open, but at the same time, the appearance will be similar.
But it's a 3 bead on the original and a 4 bead on the replacement, right? It's a 3 pane on the original and a 4 pane on the replacement, right?
Yeah.
Have you actually ever thought about, when I look at, we'll go back to the original, have you thought about doing the sash window just for the bottom two sections with a fixed window above it to mimic that 3D unit rhythm? Would that look better?
Well, no, we have not, because we wanted, well, first of all, for the supplier, we wanted uniformity for the windows. And also the sash windows work better as far as inside the apartments. Because then the tenants will be able to open them for ventilation.
And staff is comfortable with the shift from 3 to 4?
So I was not aware that those windows were Photoshop, so our recommendation would be to match the original window configuration.
So you still recommend a 3 bead window, a 3 pane window, not a 4 pane?
Yes, we recommend matching those originals.
So how would you do that? Would you just make a sash window disproportionately larger on the top or?
It's not its original side window, that's it, right? Yeah, so I don't know that it can. I would not do a large and small. I think it has to be. The only advantage of this is the big windows are 4 beads and they're equal. So there is some congruous nature. But it doesn't look right because they're not, they're 4s instead of 3s. So it's a matter, that's why I was interested in staff reaction.
Well, aesthetically, it doesn't affect me before, but I do understand that our focus is to try and preserve as much historic fabric and replicate as much as we can. So I
Right.
would be curious what other options there would be. You would work with your supplier to see if there are options to maybe do fixed unit above, have a single unit and still have the rhythm of the 3. If that would be possible, but maybe you just have that lower portion is the piece that you move and you have more of a fixed condition up above. That could be a possibility. I don't know if that's going to push you into more of a custom territory and end up cost a little bit more money. But
Well, just to interject it, what we're going by is basically the stamped approved drawings. And so what was approved basically is a window that's a sash window. And so something that would be fixed and would be something different than what's there. And then really don't want to start this over.
when you say what's been approved, could you remind me what's already been? Yeah.
I would have you refer to the stamp drawings from the December meeting where we put in the specifications for the windows to be installed. And on
Is there a page number?
I believe it's line 9 of that specification. It's a sash window. And what we have done is we have put them, no, it's not line 9. It is a window that basically is divided into 4 panels, 2 above and 2 below. I think that was it. I'm not sure, but
So you go back to this one.
Let's go back.
no.
53, looks like there's one. Four, yeah, 5,
I think it's 6.
7.
There, line 7, let me make sure that's the correct dimensions.
That's
So this is mine.
Right, and what we've done to accommodate what was mentioned in the last meeting is take out that central grid and just have a grid that would be what was photoshopped into the picture that you guys requested.
since we didn't mention the 3 versus 4 being last time. We only talked about the grid.
But these are the gel Gwen windows that were, approved.
Are they on the approved list? I was confused about that.
There is a gentleman window on the approved list. I think the commission's concern was whether these would be good replacements for the steel windows.
I have to say, I'm more in favor of the four equal Bs than I am in favor of the big, small.
Oh, right. Yeah. Portion, I agree, should be in equal segments.
Right, well, the center
Four
windows,
or three.
the center windows are 4s, so the left, so,
Right.
like I said, there's some value there.
I mean, given the large windows on the very front of the building as well, it seems like that's fit the overall feel and aesthetics of the building to move forward with the more sectional.
So staff, if this were staff was asking for a follow-up, just with a window schedule that shows the drawing that shows the window before. So
Right.
In addition to this, yeah.
So there you see that we've got 4 panels, and in the kitchen windows, the large windows, we've got 4 panels also. And and because it's a sash window, that's the symmetry we were trying to get.
What commission did this?
We're just asking them.
Would be the brewery.
Is Murray?
Oh, okay.
That's simple. Yeah, we missed it.
Looks making that changes in manufacturing. I think that's.
And he has a point, he does have improved drawings first.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah, thanks for bearing with us to get the history of the project. Appreciate it.
Sure was meeting I missed.
Yeah.
The map is there. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, so we can go to the specs. I just want to confirm that what we have there, that we also have updated for the additional windows that will be replaced, and that we have those window specifications for those specific windows.
Given the history and emotion. Okay.
Let me ask the question first. Are you saying you think some of the other windows are a problem? Or you want us to look at each one?
No, so the window quote that we have is from when this was submitted for brewery, so now there's some additional windows that have been proposed for HRC to approve replacement of, so I want to make sure that we have those drawings, those specs for the additional windows as well. So we have those, we can stamp them. Just like,
So
yeah.
every page of the quote is stamped. Is there an additional quote that we're talking about?
Yeah, so those should have been for the windows approved from the brewery, but now there's some additional windows. So I want to make sure that we have this quote or schedule for those additional windows. So we have like the sizes, the rough openings, that kind of thing. You know, nothing accidentally gets
Yeah.
downsized. Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve HR 2407-01110 to 20 East Deschler Avenue with the following stipulation that we can submit window quote schedule to staff with windows from the approved windows list for the windows that have been included in the stamp drawings today.
I'll second.
Wait. Sorry, go ahead. I'll wait for discussion.
So now there's a, I was gonna say, the final motion is second, so further discussion.
Okay. I would like to put something on the record that I do not consider this to be a precedent situation. That we are allowing it because of earlier approval that we now think was winning error. And we would not support a 4-for-3 going forward with that significant discussion and potentially extenuating circumstances.
Is that agreed?
It's a great
Motion, I have a second.
Okay.
Voted on record. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Thank you.
And I should have said this earlier, you're going to review, make sure that there's no other double, triple, confusion, and everything looks on the up and up. Bring in that little detail. Thank you very much.
You,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Follow staff.
Okay, well, I've waited 20 years for this, 20 years, 3 months, 3 hours. So as I understand it, these are approved, but you're looking for staff to
You
receive.
need to basically follow up with staff and make sure they have a drawing that shows that window.
Yeah,
From a technical standpoint.
okay,
so you've submitted the schedule for the other windows that were already approved, and now we just need those for the windows that have been approved today.
Before you can move forward.
Yeah, we want to see a drawing that basically you're going to show that sash window with the four divided lines.
okay. And then once I provide that to staff, we're,
They'll stamp it for approval and then you're good.
okay, all right.
Great.
Thank you.
Case number 2 is moved to staff approval, so then we're on.
Thanks very much. Have a good one.
Case number 3, 330 Loeffler Avenue. Is anybody here for 330 Loeffler Avenue? Hearing none, we can get back to that. Sure. On to case number 4, 587, 589 South Ohio. Is anybody here for 587, 589 South Ohio?
So that one,
Situation once before, I know.
it has been continued. That one does have a note that the expectation would be heard until 4:30, so applicant could possibly come in.
Well, then-
Let's pass this one.
Oh, that is your, okay, great. If you.
Oh, I think that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
Except you're here for, let me see. For 1036, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Then we will come back to those two. It looks like moving on to case number 5, 6, 7, we'll move to staff approval. That would put 8 and 9 as well. That would put us to case number 10, 614 South Champion Avenue. If you vote before you sit down, raise your right hand. You each swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening.
I do.
Each state your full name and association with the property for record.
Kyle Early, property owner.
Okay.
So Alvin Brook representing Exterior Heroes as a contractor.
Okay, wonderful. Have a seat, gentlemen. Yeah.
Okay, this application for 614 South Champlain Avenue is requesting to retain shingle selection that you can see on the photo today. The shingle is not fully approved on this list. The application is the result of a code violation. The applicant would also like to propose to remove bridge venting and install 5 hat vents. So at the September business meeting, the commission noted that they would not be able to be support for the wood shake style asphalt shingles. Some commissioners noted that they could potentially support hat vents at the rear or with limited visibility in combination with bridge venting, if bridge venting is not sufficient on its own. Some commissioners had asked when painting or repainting was undertaken, particularly the painting of a stone and tuckpoint in the porch area. So the approved shingles list was established based on the historic use of roofing materials in Columbus, specifically the types, colors, and shapes of slate. And while no asphalt shingle exactly mimics the size, color, and texture of slate, those on the current list are the closest we have found or been presented with to this point. And then the standard for venting is that any venting be installed on the roof ridges only underneath the metal ridge wall. So the type and shape of shingles that have been installed did not come onto the market until about the late 1970s, as they have a wood-shaped appearance with varying sizes of the shingles. And then regarding the painting, based on other imagery, the stone lintels and sills appear to have been painted by 2005, and then to have been painted that red color by 2008. So staff recommendation is to recommend continuing the application COA 2400229 at 614 South Champion Avenue in the Old Oaks Historic District, without applicant time to revise the application to better meet the city code and New Jersey guidelines. The basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 316/11, standards for alteration, specifically numbers 6, 11, and 12, and then the guidelines regarding roofing materials.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to add anything for the question?
Yes, so we filed for the application for the work. In the illustration that you went through, we are putting on or proposing to put on the rolled ridge or the metal ridge, the hip and ridge for that area. So the hat vents, or in our terminology, the 550 south box vents, is to add additional ventilation. Based upon my 30-some years of experience, that metal ridge cap will compress the Cobra mesh venting. It'll compress over time, and it will not provide enough exhaust ventilation for that home. So it's just a practicality and functionality of putting in additional box vents or hat vents, as you termed, on the back side. So they're not visible to the front. And I purposely did that, and I created that schematic, is so you can't see them. And each of those allow 56 net free inches of airflow to exhaust. If you put in just a ridge vent, you're down to about 2 net free inches of airflow per foot. So once that compresses, it gets even worse. So that's the point that I'm making, is that the exhaust ventilation based on homes in the areas in metal capped ridge venting doesn't work very well. And that's based on my experience. Knowing how much space is needed, meaning you take your attic space, and there's an algorithm we put it into to identify how many net free inches of airflow of exhaust you need. So you take that attic space, you divide it by 300, multiply by 144, divided by 2, and it tells you how many net free inches. That ridge vent does not allow that. And that's for manufacturer warranty. So again, getting away from the shingle, just talking about the ridge vent and the box vents and things like that, a better approach is to ventilate properly to make that home last even another 100 years. So we did the property directly across the street. We did a full roof replacement. And again, I brought that up, but that was a hip roof compared to a gable roof. So just the practicality of how you can ventilate that didn't apply over there with Kevin, but it does apply with Mr. Early. When it comes to the shingles, and I'm just going to give my input, and then you guys can tell me to be quiet so if I talk too much. In this area, specifically this street, within 100 yards in each direction, basically there's only one. The dimensional shingles that were put on this house, and I'll let Mr. Early speak on that. And I don't want to get into that whole precedence word, but there are multiple properties in the area that have dimensional shingles. The work we did and filed the application for directly across the street, we put on one of the listed shingles, and that's why I didn't sit in front of you the first time. Because it was all approved, because it's exactly how you wanted us to do the work. Based on, I would hate to see this gentleman have to put on a brand new roof because he got duped by an unscrupulous contractor. And I'll let him speak on it directly. It just doesn't seem fair. So again, as a contractor who's been doing this a long time and trying to help people every single day, I'm just trying to come to you and ask for help to help this guy, to be honest.
I guess just for me to chime in really quick, a little bit of background on what happened to us. We had an insurance replacement back in May of 2023. It was due to hail wind damage. Come to find out throughout this whole situation, I don't even think back then they went through the proper permitting process, so I couldn't find anything for back then. Come this summer, I found some warranty work issues in the attic that resulted in this new replacement in June. So I barely had the roof for 1 year. Found warranty issues. They came back in June to basically redo the whole roof. I have texts. I know I can't give anything over today. I just heard about all the rules for this meeting, but I do have extra evidence in the future if it's needed. I requested them to use one of the approved shingles. Come to find out that's not what they did. I mean, I know I can't give you guys anything here, but I have printouts and they're almost identical. The approved shingle I requested and the one that they put up is very, very close. I do know, and I do want to comment too on the wood shake. I don't believe that the roof that's on there is really wood shake. It could be the picture, potentially the lighting from the sky, but I mean, if you look at the shingle, it's not a wood shake shingle. So I just wanted to mention that. Sorry for the long story.
Yours is short.
So I'm sorry, I'm confused. On the venting, you're saying the rear vents and the ridge would not be sufficient?
I'm saying the rolled metal ridge with,
By itself is not sufficient,
correct,
but if we put the rear mats on, it's. can be
yes, yes,
So we don't have to have paths facing the street or visible to the street.
correct. And if you look at the home, it's what's referred to as a gable roof or a roof that goes up and down. So that's an open space. On the very top of the ridge, it's open attic. So if I ventilate with those box vents from the backside, it's technically, and it's a passive system, hot air rises and exhausts. You know, back in that era, there's gable vents and box vents. They've been around forever. So if, again, it's case specific to that home being a gable roof compared to, again, Kevin's across the street, that's a hip roof. That will help dramatically, and just the metal roofing is not enough.
I think there was some positive reaction from the commission last time we talked about this to the heaviness.
I mean, I don't even see a problem addressing this topic of the half fence.
Right. We just don't want to follow that from.
It's a modern issue with the intent of historic property. Where I think the issue goes south though is the actual shingle selection. I think we understand that might not be a particular choice to see what was done, but unfortunately, we have no portion of it to sort of rule by what the code is, which is to come in their possession. But all is different from the approved list or seek out an approval from the approved list. I guess you as a homeowner, unfortunately, have to make sure you have a contract and say, hey, I'd like to see a copy of your building. You know, it's some unfortunate things there. We have precedent on this commission where despite those kinds of scenarios, when somebody chooses to afford and put a huge roof on a house, we've had an unfortunate rule. You know, that which probably replace the roof in the future. I don't know how the rest of this commission will vote, so that's up to.
I would say though, if you told them you needed a new shingle,
Right.
and they did not give it to you, you have legal recourse.
I do understand that. It's, that avenue stresses me. I understand that is a path I may have to take, but yeah, understandable.
What I would say is if you need to simply have us continue the case so that you can take the feedback that can be documented to you from staff based on tonight, sort of indicating that likely think, let other commissioners say whether they vote for or against. You could then pursue these cases, whatever that contract was for not giving you what you're going to do. And then hopefully you can just get it resolved very simple way, that should be honest.
The other path I would be open to is if you think the shingle that you have on truly is not what we
Yeah.
think it looks like.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You think it is truly directly related to something on the approved list.
Mhm.
I believe I would be willing to start and have that conversation and seeing if we would make a case that this could be entered to the approved list. It's time to.
I'm willing to send in any.
So just like from the photos, it does look like the different variant shapes of the shingles rather than like slate.
Okay, so you would argue with that assumption. You would say it's really not close.
I don't see this as being close.
Right, I don't know, who's to know, so I'm operating as a new type.
Yeah, so typically like the shingles that we have on the list, and some of them are 3-tab, there are a few dimensionals, but what they all share is this uniform look that really emulates kind of that look of slate that's typically uniform. Other types of shingles that are, you know, pretty common contemporary style shingles have a different shaping, they have a different sizing, and so they don't necessarily have like the slate look. It's closer to the wood shake style. So that's what we mean by wood shake. Not that it's wood shake itself, of course, they're asphalt shingles, but it's closer to that style rather than the slate appearance. And then we know that this home historically had slate. It was approved for removal of the slate maybe a decade or so ago with the condition that it had those shingles that look like slate to replace it. And that's, you know, that's what we have the first shingles list to try to match that.
Sorry.
So as,
Would it also, by the way, help to deal with this issue of the venting 5 half vents first to break it out so that you have 2 separate issues?
Yeah.
Was it?
and as we filed for the permit, you know, and that's my thing is we can do a continuance where Kyle's got to do his diligence on recouping what it would cost for this roof. I understand that. But if we can submit the permit for an approved shingle, then the only issue that comes up is those box vents or head vents. Because again, I am putting metal on it. It's,
What we're suggesting is that we'll take each of those as an independent request for you. We'll give you the approval on the bridge and box vents in the back today,
okay,
and if that's helpful, but
understood. Because then I would just submit,
sure, so.
And this will be paid though, correct?
Still,
This will be a per day.
yes, pardon, thank you, sir.
Per day. So
Part A, and with the confidence that they cannot be seen from the street.
correct.
All right.
And I believe if you pull up, there's a schematic, and I call it my hover report, but
I'm sorry, 1 second. So there's a motion on the floor for a part A assignment here for approval of the bridge venting and the install of the 5 head vents. Is there a second?
Is it the bot that exists or are there all take backs?
So there's headvents existing, is that correct? They are proposed?
I'm sorry,
The headvents, they're not existing, they're proposed.
correct.
Okay. Maybe we could scroll to the,
Then I give you the number.
schematic.
Sorry, I jumped to that on the motion.
Nope. Keep going.
Yeah, there's a. Go ahead.
Some with bunch blocks as well. That one.
Nope. I would say it's most likely on like the first or second page of that report.
So now, there's a- it's not,
There it is.
But,
So again, on the backside there, and then the neighbor is only 2 foot, the gutter lines are only like 2 foot away. I mean, I stood way back, there's no way you could see them from the street. And then obviously the teal colors, that is the ridge metal. So we're utilizing 2 passive systems for ventilation.
You're saying not the ones toward the front of the house is bottom page, right?
I'm sorry?
The front of the house is the bottom page, so the back.
Right, so the 3, I'll call it pink for lack of, the 3 in a row
Yeah.
in pink, that's on the backside of that upper ridge.
That, but the other one is visible from the street.
Okay, so then, and that's what I was just saying, the gutters are less than 2 feet apart. You can't even, I can really fit in there in between those 2 buildings.
Because of the proximity of the neighboring house, you think they're not visible from the street.
Correct. And if you show, there's a picture on here of the front of the house. Let's see how close we are.
Show us, please.
There, it's more like 8 inches between gutter to gutter on those 2 houses.
If I walk to the right and move up.
And keep going, because I did it, ma'am, with all due respect. I did it, and I probably walked back 50, 60 feet.
I was gonna say, there's other pictures in this packet too, if you want to walk with other pictures.
You could see street view from your Kindles.
There you go.
I think that would be visible.
Rest is.
Upper middle.
I would ask, so what is the ultimate way to vent this, if it's required to be vented by code?
There's the roof, bridge, the ridge line is been in that section, is that sufficient?
I mean, your calculations, just so you know.
Correct. And you have to understand, when the ridge, you're on the backside of the ridge, when you have that front dormer, when you talk about passive, I've already explained the ridge venting under the metal. So there's something needed on that front dormer. That's a huge part of that roof. Based on my experience, is that it would not vent properly. And that's, again, I have to put my numbers together because of manufacturer warranty.
With the headlamps. Everybody's fine with the 3. So we're talking about the 2.
Yep.
How far back can the to still have adequate venting on that face of that roof?
Best case scenario, you want to split those 2 between that ridge line. So you take the,
Like third.
correct. That's the best case scenario. If you want to push those back, you're losing the opportunity of the side closest to the road.
You're not getting the function as it is.
Correct.
You know, I'm looking at the street view. Yeah, same thing. Okay, we're all looking at the same thing. my 2 cents, they're not gonna see much. With the chimney and this building, might catch a little bit of that. The only other question is sizing wise, could you size the 3 in the back to be larger and still manage the flow? Or does that still impede the functionality that you're looking for?
So those 550 style box vents, there's 2 different ones made by Camco. They're 550 and 750. They're the almost identical size. 750 is all the difference is there's a slant back to it. So it comes up and down, it's an angle. But that's,
It's challenging because there was a period of time when there was no commission understanding, so.
no, and I understand, and I'm just here, I'm trying to provide the best
Yeah.
way to do the project.
Sure, we're doing that. Is there guidance in any of the law that, or standards that gives us information about events?
It's only really to say that, the venting historically, is on the original remedy as it was.
Again, I heard about this.
You had mentioned that there may have been an issue with warranty and manufacturing, things like that. Is there a possibility that we could have that also submitted as part? Because if there's no other solution, I'm not actually in this thing. Does that then cause an issue for the homeowner later on if they're trying to get replacements for their?
One of the things, if I may interject a little bit, one, our company is lifetime workmanship. That's how we do the work. If I was replacing this entire roof, again, I can give you the manual, the guideline. It's about 300 some pages on how to install roofing. And it talks all about the equation that I mentioned and things like that. And again, it's kind of like we have to split here because he wants us to just do this work to make sure the violation of the metal is in place and still not have to replace the whole roof. So again, I'm going to split those. For us to come in and put those box vents in, say it was a 3-tab that was approved or a Royal Sovereign or whatnot. For me to come in and not put adequate ventilation in, the manufacturer of the product independently inspects our jobs would fail me because there's not enough ventilation. If that happens, again, now it goes back to my workmanship and it's on my dime to make it right. So that's why we only will do this if we can do it the right way. That makes sense.
What if they take the box vents out and have to do it?
I mean, I'm not opposed to giving the sidelines, but I'm aware of precedents, so we have to caveat. Everybody else that we think would add value to the conversation that we can have. Very comfortable with the calculations as it describes. Feels to me like you can say to the manufacturer, here's what I got from sort of industry commission, they aren't going to do this, and therefore that takes a mark of, but that's additional matter.
I feel like manufacturers would just say it's already diligent.
Yeah.
How tall are these box vents? I'm just trying to understand.
12 inches by 12 inches
They
and,
look like a little 12 square.
and 5 inches above the deck.
Okay, so they're basically,
Oh,
okay.
But it's really the height is 5 inches.
From the base of it, because it's one piece and it's aluminum. There's a 1.5-inch gap between the shroud that basically covers a hole. So-
it's 7.5 inches off the.
No,
off the
no,
roof.
total from roof deck to top is 5.5.
Well, I have a motion on the table that says the board will take the proposed drawings. As is, I would add a caveat that says, we think this is an unusual circumstance because of the visibility of the vent from the street. I think it's it's minimal at best. And we're going to require that they be painted the same colors too, I think it's a good addition. And we don't think this is the general situation. You know what I mean? I don't know how to say all that effectively, but that's where I would go.
I don't know. I don't know if the last part is applicable, just because everybody has to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't say it, but looking at Jacqueline, she's not even, I don't think that piece of deal.
Can staff read back what they need functions,
Yes,
just to make sure.
Totally cool.
so we're approving the venting, with the note that this is due to unusual circumstance, and that the location of the forward-facing hat vents will have no visibility or limited visibility due to the proximity of the home or the other home. And then I think, oh, and then also that the color will be painted to match the roofing. So blend in visually.
There's a second for this.
Second.
Any additions?
So one other thing, I think that, this is maybe where your head was, just that the calculation of required venting was such that it could be achieved just by our standard approach.
Honestly, applicant testifies that.
Yeah, and given the circumstances and the potential to not have this warranted by the manufacturer, the vetting approach seems appropriate.
Is the motion okay? Was there truly a second, by the way?
Second.
You're okay with that modification? Great. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, abstention. Okay, so that piece passes. Now we're on to the discussion of the shingles and. Right, so, you have the option to come in and ask for a vote now, which may result in no. You can ask to continue it if you think a no vote helps your case with the contractor, that's up to you. If you want this time to see legal counsel on that item first and have us not make a no vote against you, that's okay. If you decide to come in and simply make application with a different group in the meantime anyways, that matches the approved list, that would remove this off the agenda. So, I think that path seems to maybe be to continue. At least we can find out.
Mind if I just?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So basically the options are one, the ventilation is addressed, it's approved. You need to decide, are you gonna go after the previous contractor? Do you want to hold it open? Or do they give a decision, which is a decision, it's done?
You can come back at another time with this.
Yeah, you might do that.
Question is to strengthen your situation.
Yeah, with the contractor, I don't, and that's also ultimately why I ended up with Vin, is that really went south quick. So when I found out that they weren't doing things proper from the start and then not following what I requested, so,
If you allow them to go to vote and they say no, it may help you with your litigation.
I guess,
That's the first thing you need to say.
yeah,
Are you
I think
gonna
we'll go to vote then, I guess.
Okay. Great.
That's just so we're clear, so if there's a vote now, if you wanted to come back, you would have to propose something different. The commission could re-vote on the application as presented once they do that vote.
So we would submit as a contractor, if this is the decision, we know it's approved with the ventilation. No on the shingle that is being proposed. And then we would submit an application at whatever time, say, guess what, we're gonna make it pass with the approved shingle.
Yeah, there would just need to be a change for what is presented today.
So before I actually ask for a question, but I just want to go on record. We do hear your concern. It's unfortunate to recognize that she's been taken advantage of by a contractor. We would urge you that with whoever is the work next, that are proper, we're going to get copies of this permits. We do hear your pain in that, and we are understanding. However, we can only rule based on the law, which is the guidelines. And currently in the guidelines, any decision here is really rendered, not because we're not being sensitive to the situation, it's only we're recommending the decision based on the guidelines. So for me, it's going to be tough to support this. Again, all motions here tonight will be made in the affirmative, so that would be to approve the roof. And then how votes would proceed would be different. With enough votes or with extensions. So, I don't know, maybe that's wants to comment for record as well.
But just for record, it sounds like we're in the negative at this point.
So,
However, we're not individual, just Mr.
yeah, but yes.
This is your making your decision, it doesn't feel like we're getting, right? Sounds like that's okay.
I guess I don't feel like I have a pass. I guess I don't.
So I would request a motion on the side.
Right, for COA 240022 164 South Champlain Avenue, I would like to make a motion to approve the installed shingles selection that is outside of the approved shingles.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, having a motion, a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Nay? Abstentions? Okay, so motion does not pass. Staff give you documentation to that effect, which I'll have. So then just keep in touch with staff about how you need to resolve the workforce.
I'll get into one more topic, which is the color of the stone. As an architectural design. Really helpful by the rust color of the stone.
That was prior to our purchase. Yeah, revert, yeah, revert back,
Yeah.
okay,
The look of it. Incredible.
Okay.
Sand blocks,
understood.
call Columbus Landmarks and see if they can recommend treatment or paint.
Okay.
So,
Which would require,
yes.
Yeah, it would require
Okay.
COA.
I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for the.
Yes.
For record first, since this was a denial, the commission confirmed just the code or guidelines that the denial is being ruled on for our record.
reason for the denial in my mind is the fact that it's not on the approved list. It's a roofing that's not compatible with the character of the district.
And would this be based on, the guidelines or code that is listed in the staff report?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Could I ask a quick question too? You had mentioned that there was a possibility to maybe provide information to staff to get a shingle added to the list. Is that a path still, or is that no longer an option?
You can provide data, but we don't actually add to the list. We make recommendations to the list. And
Yeah.
it's a legislative process.
I think it's all board commissions would have to approve it.
Mhm.
And then the staff would probably recommend it as well. I wouldn't be able to recommend this particular shingle, but we can certainly consider other shingles and to be viewed as like a test case.
Right, there's a tuition replacements, but
I think the pictures don't do it justice.
it would take longer.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, having that case done, we're gonna go backwards and then there's some additional people who are joining us in the room real quick to see if there are some other applications. Case number 330 Loeffler Avenue. Is anybody here for 330 Loeffler Avenue? Okay, and is anybody here for case number 587, 589 South Ohio Avenue? Okay. Then we are then back to, we are now on to case number 11, 1036 Newton Street. Report. And if you each raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, and testimony before the commission this evening.
Yes, sir.
Each state your full name and association with the property record.
Gregory Fraser, I am the owner of the property.
Okay.
Stephanie Reisner, we're the designers.
Okay, wonderful. And you both have seal.
This application for 136 Newton Street is proposing to replace non-historic windows, doors, and siding, and to install new smooth and forward pullback siding with a 9 3/4 inch reveal. They would also like to repair slate roofing, replace a section of damaged gutters with new OG K-style gutters. So those OG K-style gutters have been installed, and the existing box gutters have been jumped, so that section of those gutters would be installed with new, or replaced with new. And then to also replace the existing porches or stoops that are now historic with larger porches. So this property includes a historically 2-unit wood frame 2-story dwelling constructed between 1900 and 1910. The 1921, 1961 Sanborn maps show the property to have had single-story wood frame porches and the north and south elevations that have been replaced over time by the streets that are currently in place. So staff conducted a site visit in August to evaluate the siding beneath the insula brick and found that the original siding is no longer in place. The basement windows were also found to be deteriorating or missing. There was an extent basement window visible, and that window was a two-light traditional basement window. So the box gutters have been jumped or covered over with asphalt shingle roofing, and ODK styles were added at least by 2007 for the upper aerials. The applicant is proposing to replace just a section of the damaged OGK style gutter with new OGK style gutter. So staff notes if any repair of slate, or if repair slate is proposed and new slates need to be added, then we recommend submission of new photos or product cut sheets of the new slate, just so that we can confirm that the new slate is will match the existing. And we also recommend maintaining or replacing any section of box gutter cornice that has been damaged by the fire. So when they go, if the applicant is approved, it goes to replace that OGK style gutter just to make sure not to remove the extent box gutter that has been jumped over there. We also recommend the 1/1 window configuration for dormer windows, and then recommend matching the original basement window with two-light style with submission of revised window schedule info. So at the September business meeting, staff let the commission know that the applicant is working on providing the basement window info, and then info or product information for any slate that will be used to replace any missing slate. Some of the commissioners noted that they were concerned still about the sizing of the window openings, noting that they do appear to be downsized and that they can discuss with the applicant further in the year. So staff recommends approval of application COA 24-00022, 1036 Newton Avenue with the following conditions. And that is the applicant submit the basement windows quote scheduled to staff with the window selection from the approved windows list matching the original basement windows. The basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 316.11 standards for alteration, and then the guidelines regarding purchase and stoop, siding, roofing materials, windows, and then the guideline amendments regarding window replacement, artificial siding.
Additional, does this answer a lot of the sensitive questions that come up? Finishing the meeting prior to this business meeting about downsizing, this sounds like a illegal downsizing now.
But she said, it's not okay, it says matching, the matching agreement. So where there's evidence of downsizing, we would expect to meet the original size. That's why was that staff's opinion.
So right now the recommendation is just for basement windows. Basement windows are deteriorated, so for replacement of those, we can certainly discuss that. It's a concern of the commission.
So, moving forward, what would the applicant like to add? So it sounds like you're aware of what staff has recommended here, with just addressing the basement windows at this point. Addition to the conversation.
Just more so, this is my first time, going through all of this as a young investor. And just pretty much, can I get in there and start digging? What does it take for me to be able to get in there and start the process? You know what I mean? I've been having it since I think 6 months now. And I'm ready to get in there and, and get the ball rolling if I can. So I guess that's only thing I would like to add, and or what else do you guys need from me to conclude whatever could still be missing?
But to me, it sounds like the only thing that's outstanding at this point would be this basement limitation.
If the commission's okay with the other, I know there's discussion about the broader windows and then the gutters, we're okay with that.
If it helps that. We would. The gutter section replacement. Rather would be a discussion as well. I mean, right now, I think the only thing that is open would be the basement windows.
And I thought someone came out for that, right? To look at that.
Yes, so we did a site visit. So basically what we need, so we have a window over schedule right now for, the other windows and maybe, I think, an earlier version of the basement windows.
Okay.
But what we'll need is an updated version of just the basement windows to make sure that we're matching those original windows with the replacement.
Okay. Okay.
So I think the commission is in a situation where we can take action on everything except for the basement windows, where you would then have a follow-up that you need to do with staff to obtain those approvals. And if staff is comfortable with then approving that, we could essentially in this motion, probably delegate it to staff to approve if they receive the materials they need. And if they have any questions about the content they receive, they will have, the staff will have to back us then.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with that as well. But I just want to make sure you understand what it is that's still open, it's just the basement.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. I'm just a little confused by this, because I'm a little confused about what we have already really seen. We've seen and again, maybe the type of property it is versus the district. Have we seen the gutter replacement with that? Seen the window schedule, is that all taken care of?
Do we
It's all-
want to discuss the gutter, section, just, maybe we can go to
It's all there now.
It's there, but I think it might be good for the commission just to see it, and we're okay.
So I saw this slate and we're comfortable saying, go ahead and return the slate as to match as it was, right? Okay,
Yes.
and that's what we're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're still where it's.
So I believe these are the sections where you, applicant, you'd be replacing the OG K-style gutter, is that correct? And with the box gutter, so the box gutter has been kind of covered over with some shingles, with the box gutter remain or be repaired. And then you just have a replacement of the OG gutter, so rather than removing the box gutter that's damaged.
So you said, so you asking me, am I gonna replace it or repair it? Or?
So what I understand the proposal is, you all are just replacing a section of the gutters. And then there's box gutters that are still there, but they've been covered over with shingles. But those modern style gutters have been added on. And so from my understanding, you still like to use the modern gutters.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that the box gutters aren't also been removed, because the rest of the house still has those box gutters.
So you want to
Yes.
keep keep the box and then repair the modern. Right.
That'd be my suggestion. The commission would also, if anyone has concerns or.
At this point, it's just, everything else has been jumped. Jumping the gutter typically when it's not
Right,
covered.
with
over.
a, with a roof.
I mean, if they're just jumped and you're not undoing the rest of that, I mean, you could just put a box gutter back where it's in place, so, okay, as long as we're leaving that tacked at the very start
Correct.
possible. So in the future, somebody else return it back. If you return it back, it's probably less is more, a little bit going on, and maybe that small section of gutter just gets repaired. Yeah, well, that's the applicant's intent.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
The slate gutters, windows. Siding. Siding is accepted choice.
Yes, we know that the original siding is not there. The siding being proposed is smooth. And then is the commission okay with the reveal of the siding? It's a cementitious siding, so it's the type of siding that we approved before when replacement of siding has been installed. And
I actually think of this cementitious siding is what would perfectly fine once it's,
How you guys feel about me keeping the siding that's me keeping the siding on the side in the back and doing like a
So if you're going to change, what I would say is you're gonna have to go back to your drawings and revise them.
Okay, I got
Because right now you propose something.
I got you.
So the inspector is going to expect to see what it is you propose in this.
Got you, I got you.
So
Okay.
if you want to go, you want a continuation.
No, I just was there today. I've been there a couple of days and I'm getting a lot of ideas from the team, right? But so I just was asking.
the cementitious around the fire.
Don't be creative. We appreciate creativity, but if you have something on that,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
thank you for walking through that.
And overall, I mean, I think the application itself would have, for the most part, would have liked to add these 2 porches back, and you got the door, you got a lot of great things on it.
Six that are on.
If you follow those drawings, it's gonna look pretty good.
Gotcha.
Somebody wants to make a motion now?
Sure. Regarding COA A2400022736 Newton. Make a motion to approve the application as submitted with the condition that the applicant will submit basement window information, including their quotes or schedules to identify the detail of the windows to staff.
And would that be staff approval?
With staff approval.
Okay, so staff approval, okay, so.
For the basement.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a motion, is there a second? Second. Okay, any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. So just follow up with basement windows to staff. They can, when they get that piece of it, otherwise you're on.
All right, perfect, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, so again, so provide the information and not gonna get started. That what you said?
Yes.
If she says, yeah,
Let's
basement,
get that certificate of appropriateness, make sure you submit that for your building permits.
how long, when I submit that, how long does that take?
It's a different department, but they'll need our stamp, our COA, and then that's part of that application. So you want to make sure you have your building permits.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, actually, let's backtrack. Okay. Is anybody here for 587, 589 South Ohio? You want to come forward, sir?
Yes. My apologies for being late.
All right, if you can raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and testimony you're testifying this evening.
We do.
If you can state your full name and association with the property for record.
I'm Patrick Picacho Bastido, and I am one of the owners of the property.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Patrick, could you, the microphone?
Sorry,
Thank you.
it's just been crazy, been
Yeah.
running
Okay.
back and forth from the emergency room hospital. It's been quite a few days, anyway.
Okay.
So my apologies ahead of time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this application for 587, 589 South Ohio Avenue, the proposal here is to retain exterior painting of brick windows and wood trim. So the application is a result of a code violation. So the brick masonry was painted without approval in March of 2023. And then in keeping with city code and guidelines, any alterations to historic properties should be easily reversible and removable. So as a semi-permanent treatment, painting unpainted historic masonry does not meet the city code and guidelines, altering the historic fabric, and then functionally trapping moisture by blocking the pores in masonry and preventing expansion and contraction, which leads to deterioration to the masonry over time. So at the September business meeting, the commission suggested that the applicant reach out to contractors that are experienced with historic masonry in regards to removal. The application was continued at the April 2024 hearing, absence of the applicant. The application was reviewed and continued at the May 2023 hearing to allow the applicant time to explore paint removal options. The applicant has noted that they have used Dumont Peel Way product, power washing 3000 PSI, which did cause damage to the brick. HPO staff does recommend power washing a building not exceed 300 PSI to prevent causing damage to the masonry. So the applicant has provided letters from contractors regarding paint removal, including modern paintings and coatings and 6'4" painting. Both contractors recommend abrasive methods such as sandblasting that would damage the masonry. So given the recommendations for abrasive methods, staff recommends contacting a contractor or company with experience working with historic masonry. There are a few recent examples where paint has been removed from both brick and stone with various texture types. In these instances, paint has been applied to unpainted brick or stone prior to approval and removal, and then the paint was removal of the paint was approved with retaining paint denied by the Historic Resources Commission. So paint has successfully been removed from the 700 South Champion Avenue property in the Old Oaks Historic District, including sections of Forest Brick. Paint has also been successfully removed from 620 East Town Street in the East Town Street Historic District, and from 1262 Brighton Road, which has rusticated sandstone exterior, from which paint was removed using the Dumont Peel Way. So the use of Dumont Peel Way requires layering of the product, and usually it's between 3-4 millimeters thick, so pretty thick, and it may need a 6 millimeter thick layer depending on the amount of paint or amount of texture of the masonry. So immediate application of the Dumont paper sheets on layers of product during product application is required to prevent it from drying out if it's unready for paint. Additionally, the paint removal product Corsuco has been used for historic tax credit projects as a successful paint removal product for historic masonry reviewed by the State Historic Preservation Office and National Park Service. And the staff notes if paint is not able to be successfully removed, we recommend repainting to match the original masonry color as closely as possible with submission of paint information for review and approval prior to repainting. So the staff recommendation is to either recommend continuing application HR 2305014 at 587, 589, 75 Avenue in Old Oaks District to allow the applicant time to find a contractor who's experienced with historic masonry to perform a test patch on the grid with the recommended paint removal product and method, or staff recommends repainting the masonry to match the original masonry color as closely as possible with submission of paint information. So the recommendation is based on the City Code 316.11 standards for alteration regarding, or specifically for numbers 2, 5, 7, 10, 11, and 12. And then for the guidelines for masonry, which specify of not painting masonry surfaces, and also for painting, which echoes the guidelines for masonry. With that, I'll turn it over to the commission.
What do the applicant want to add this time?
We did reach out to the people specialized in removing paint from historic. They weren't able to come until yesterday, and they are still doing one last test overnight, and they said they're gonna have the report in the next few days. I was hoping that they were gonna give me something to bring, but they didn't have anything yet. And so far they're saying that everything that they have tried, it will be abrasive to remove. They were able to remove, some of the paint of a few bricks at the bottom, but they said the method was pretty harsh. So they didn't know, if it was gonna be a good option. We've been, working a lot on this and trying to, get it corrected and all that. It's just that it's been pretty tough. We bought the place in 2009, right? It took us almost 10, 14 years to, do a little bit of patching and paint and fix the places. Finally, we're finishing the other side to get it done. And a few times people drove through the front yard and destroyed everything. We are, very limited resources. My parents are immigrants, and we were always working on 2, 3 jobs to get ahead. But later, we have our issues, our illnesses, and all that. So it's been very hard to do any kind of work. So we've been trying to do that, and then to get there and see all the work you've done destroyed. So we really think that we want that place to be brighter, because it was too dark at night. That corner was too dark, and the brick was so dark. You couldn't really see the place. And I thought that maybe that was one of the reasons why so many times people broke the wall and broke the front yard, everything that we had worked on destroyed several times. We use the paint that, we were recommended for, specifically for brick, for letting it breathe, for letting it expand and contract, and all that. We used the paint that was recommended for that. And if we're gonna have to remove it, it's gonna be extremely expensive, I guess. And if we have to repaint it, it's also pretty expensive. So it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge for us to get any of that done right now. Like I said, John just has his feet amputated. He's not gonna be able to do much work anymore. I also have conditions that I can't work that much. So we do a little bit here, a little bit there. And we're really trying. This was a purchase for my parents and for ourselves, since we saw that we were struggling. So at least we're gonna help us a little bit in the retirement for whatever we have left, you know. So we're trying to comply and all that, but it's, the options that we're given are really tough, you know. So if, like I said, we are paying already $1,000 for the guys to come, you know, give us all these estimates and try to move it and all that. So we're gonna give you the report that they give us, and then you decide what you want us to do. My parents right now, you know, they just had surgery, you just had surgery, so it's just me right now, and they're all incapacitated, basically.
So it sounds like really you would benefit from probably another continuation of this until you get the report. So
Yeah, so I think,
why don't we move forward with that?
Appreciate it.
We do hear or are sensitive to, you know, maybe some economic hardships.
thank
What I
you.
would ask you to do is probably look at what the economic hardship sections are within the code. There are economic hardship sections in the code. You'd have to meet those definitions.
Yeah.
Not subjectively apply hardship conditions that are not, you would have to meet those conditions that are in the code.
Okay.
There is a section.
And there is a section in the booklet or what?
Yes.
Okay,
So the best-
I will look.
Towards that.
thank you.
But, you know, at this time, what I would probably recommend is just simply wait until our next
Please.
hear the report that the contract
Yes.
gives. And that may help us make a decision from there.
Yes, thank you.
So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not even thinking right. I actually went to the offices of the court and I went in and then I was like, where am I? I'm in the wrong place.
Okay,
It's
so,
just been really crazy.
we can have a motion.
Thank you for understanding.
So,
There's a motion, is there a second?
second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, abstention, okay, motion passes. Just please stay in touch with staff on getting that report over to them.
Yes, as soon as we get it, we can email it to you.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, great.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Real quick here, just going back to one application, is there anybody here for 330 Loeffler Avenue? 330 Loeffler? On to case number 12, 47642 South Front Street. 47642 South Front Street. Come on. If you can each raise your right hand. Do each swear to tell the truth and testimony before you finish.
Yes.
And you state your name, full name, association property provider.
Skylar Burns.
Jake Bibo at Britmore Designers.
Both designs. Great.
Okay, this application for 47642 South Front Street is a conceptual application. The proposal is to remove the contemporary existing wood frame window addition at the front west elevation and to remove the existing contemporary rooftop trellis. Exterior alterations include proposing replacing a wood frame window addition or that wood frame window addition with a new garage door. Also to install a new rooftop bar enclosure and patio with metal shading structure, perforated metal screening. To install metal railings on the rooftop for the east or rear portion of the building and to relocate the existing rooftop mechanical units. To install a new seating area for balcony and stairs to a rooftop bar at the south elevation. To replace existing garage doors at the south elevation with new garage doors. To repair an existing sliding door at the north elevation. To restore existing windows. To restore a brick sill. To restore a scuppet at the rear of the east elevation. To install new light fixtures. And to install a wire trellis for vines. For the site, the proposal is to remove the existing pergola at the south elevation and to reconfigure the existing concrete path. So the subject property was constructed in the 1910s as a narrow grade farm warehouse. And this compact building terminates at 1 story towards the front center section at North Front Street and reaches 2 stories at the rear along the valley of West Brewery Street. So the building formerly had a 2-level frame connector with iron cladding connecting to the larger 19th century brick building to the west, which is at 470 South Front Street. That connector has been gone for some decades now. So the 470 South Front Street building was originally a bottling works for the August Wagner Products Company, while the subject building was noted as a bottling warehouse. That connector appears on the 1920, 1950, 1961 Sanborn maps along with railroad siding, which is a track section or spur along the east side of the building. And then there's also a metal cornice indicated along the southwest and north elevations. So by the 1930s, that larger 470 South Front Street building was under the ownership of J.S. McLean Company, operating custom architectural millwork. The subject property continued to be utilized as a warehouse for the McLean Company. That company moved locations in the late 1980s, and the subject building we have today was adapted to use as a brewery and restaurant by the late 1980s. So the September business meeting, the commission asked if the proposed alterations could be crowd leveled or similar to make proposed changes easy to follow along, and asked for clarification on what is historic and contemporary alterations. Some commissioners noted that they are potentially comfortable with the garage type door approach at the front. Documentation can be found that this was similar to the historic condition, and asked if it was accurate that there was garage door access directly off the front street. And the commission noted that they understand one of the challenges of this building is the access off the alley. The commission asked if the applicant could try to find and include any photographs or documentation from an earlier period, whether that be 1950s, 1920s, that would provide an idea of what that elevation was to help with the debate. Commission asked to clarify if any murals are proposed, as they saw some murals in example photos, but the applicant clarified at the business meeting that they are not proposing murals and that those photos are just material inspiration photos. The commission asked what the potential use will be, and then noted any signage will need to come before the commission. And the commission noted that while it's up to the applicant, the commission would be open and supportive of a proposal for energizing the plaza space and the alley. So this is a conceptual application, so the recommendation is that the commissioners offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant for the refined proposal for review at a future HRC meeting, so no action is required. The basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 6.11 standards for alteration and the City Code 6.13 standards for site improvements. I'll turn it over to the commission.
What I think would be best to our benefit is hearing some of the feedback from the initial meeting. If you want to approach the screen, walk us through what we're seeing here, what's going on, take us to the front.
Yeah.
How you took our comments.
Yes,
Consideration.
but feel free to approach the screen.
Okay, we also have printed off a couple further developed renders. If you guys are able,
What? Sorry.
printed some off if you guys would want.
Renderings.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have enough for all of us.
Yes.
I forget. Make sure staff gets us.
And then the photo that we sent.
So for the staff,
Sorry.
for the staff comments at the last meeting, we did find one photograph from 1973, which is printed on the top, that does show the opening in the front of the building. The door appears to be open in the photograph, so we do not know what the door looked like, but we do know that it was an opening. And so our proposal includes removing the window bump out that is currently there and restoring it to a condition more closely resembling the original in the photograph. And then the other two images that we printed out are conceptual renderings of what we have currently. And we can walk through some of the drawings on the screen in a moment as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest change is the rooftop bar enclosure. We just kind of wanted to get your temperature on it before we went in for approval.
It would be helpful, I would the business meeting, like the others. If we could just even start with the demo, and if you guys could walk through the demo plans and say what's being proposed to be removed, and then we can just move through the plans maybe sequentially, so reference or anything.
So most of the demolition work is being done on the interior. The exterior elements that we are looking to alter on the south side of the building, there is an existing like pergola structure that is not historic that we're looking to remove, as well as that front street bump out that I mentioned.
Can you show it?
Yes.
Hey, you guys know the goal,
Yeah.
The pergola structure is here, and the front street bump out, it's actually right here.
Okay.
And then the front street bump out photos on the other photo page that we have, it's right here. And we are also looking to remove everything on the rooftop, which is the rooftop trellis structure.
And that's covering mechanicals, right? Yeah. So mechanicals will be moved as part of your project.
Yes, the higher roof on the back of the building is where we're looking to relocate those units.
It is worth noting too that the trellis at the top is like falling apart and falling onto the pathway along with, along with the soffit, which could be historic.
It's been most over once.
Yeah.
Mm.
Can you talk about the reasoning behind the demolition of the pump out? Was there talk about why, or was that a different era potentially?
So pictured in that first photo, it does not exist, and it would also be a better location for an entrance to the building, since the entrance, since it's so skinny, that it's hard to enter off the.
It would give people a way to get onto the terrace as well without having to go up any stairs.
I'll note that I sat in the building immediately across the alley and looked at this building for at least 3 or 4 years. And that access issue is, I think coming off of Front Street would be very helpful for any tenant. I, for record, also for half a decade before right next door to the. Yeah. So I know this building pretty well, you know, anything that they're proposing is probably improving it for Queens.
So you can walk us through the front.
Yes, okay. So if you go to the following pages. So, as I mentioned, we have this demo these two elements. On the interior, there is multiple levels that don't align in the building that are to resolve by making them one floor. And I'll show that. You can go to the next page. And this is showing the structure on the roof that we were. So this is our proposed conceptual floor plans. So we are keeping the bar and kitchen in the same locations. We are putting in new restrooms and access along the first floor to the back of the building, which is at a different level than the first floor. We are also looking to add a garage door in the front and one on the side to allow the building to be opened up to the patio area. And then in adding the rooftop bar element, we would need a second stair access to that, which is what we're proposing on the exterior of the building. And this is our proposal for the rooftop patio with the addition of an enclosure for the rooftop bar. And then relocating those mechanical units to the higher roof on the back. In this section, you can see how the floor is not at one level. So the first floor has steps that step up. Those are existing. And then the back section of the building is higher. We are looking, right now, there are 3 different levels and then another level here that are all different. And so in our new proposal, we're looking to make those, the demolition, some of those areas to make them more integrated. And so on the exterior, we are looking to restore some of the windows and brickwork that are damaged, as well as the changes that I mentioned around the building. On the next page, this is the other elevations. You can see our exterior stair that we proposed, as well as the rooftop bar enclosure.
Those are, those on the existing and the modern.
Can you clarify there?
The 3 rooms are the modern settings.
And we have not found imagery pre-1980 of those, so we need to know. But they've been there since then.
So you're proposing to repair those?
Yes.
That. And then
So this shows a 3-dimensional view of the proposal.
I think as well, those 2 pieces of the building right now are separate and you can't get to one another from inside. So one thing that our design does do is allow you to go from the front to the back of the building. All interior, so.
on the interior.
Yes.
And these were just material inspiration photos for that rooftop addition.
So there's no, yeah, there's no road distancing, but I this last, which the whatever. Well, yeah, just taking a quick go at it, I'm offended by any of the outcomes presented.
You're not offended, are you?
Yeah.
I think it's a definitive improvement. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, totally. I think just as you develop the design, the railing detail and towards the building, it's gonna be really important. So how the parapet wall interacts with that and where that sits and how visible it is, like if you're trying to make it visible or you're trying to make it disappear, that's important for us to understand. I think having that space activated is great personally, so that it's just how those things work together. Are you proposing like a deck system up there, like a vegetable system? Yeah, okay. So those types of details we'll need to review, but I understand where you're going with that.
The two columns that kind of flank the circuits, and the center circuits, are those derivatives?
Or the
No, first,
these are existing, and I believe they once had lighting equipment on them. I don't know if that's.
That is correct.
Are all of the columns existing?
So these two are existing, and then this grouping of three is connected to the building next door.
That's right. So that's part of the structure of the building, so. And you're not proposing to change the color or anything? No, right, okay.
Can you state that against the structure of the stair is actually part of the building next door?
So let me clarify. In this drawing, the stair has its own structure, and this structure connects to the building next door. We did want to ask the commission whether connecting or using that structure as support would be something that would be open to, or.
I don't know if it's probably, yeah, right to next door. And the city.
It is on our property. It just connects to the building next door. To the structure.
you know, to the set that connects the building next door.
Just use it as support for that landing that happens in between the rooftop and the ground, possibly.
Yeah, that's how I refer you to.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. One more question, if you wouldn't mind just taking a moment, and this drawing really nice, very descriptive, can you just talk through existing versus new?
Yes, so, everything here on the building is existing except for this, safety rail. When we move the equipment, we'll need to have a safety rail, so we need to create a guideline for that. This rooftop enclosure is all new. These windows are existing. The stair is new. The structure next door is existing. This garage door and this garage door and this door are new, but there are existing windows here.
Yeah, it looks like for the most part, like grayscale is existing, a little bit darker.
Yeah.
So there's a glass system as well, looks like on the rooftop, that's all new.
Yes.
That's everything.
I think two other things that are important. So this is a different kind of site than typically what we use. So I think we're giving a little more leeway than we would if this was a very residential context on like railings and rooftops and all those kinds of things. So just I think that's important. And then I totally understand the desire to clean up that space, and I totally agree with that. I just think through how that works, because you're not proposing that you're putting vines on the actual masonry, right? That
There are existing vines on the masonry,
Okay.
so we're looking to maybe have them not destroy the masonry and see if there's a way to
the mines.
Yeah, we were thinking a wire trellis
Yeah, the
to
water.
keep them out from the
So
wall.
just, you know, one of the landscape folks here, how does that work? And,
Yeah.
you know, how do you get that system? We'll need to understand that as part of your submission.
Mhm.
That would be like a landscape plan, type of submittal as part of this.
Yeah, just in general, really appreciate this more industrial use and you guys can continue on with that setting and done in a way that is complementary of the existing building. So appreciate that. But the package was also pretty clear. Appreciate you guys walking through everything. So the content, I think, is well developed in terms of your visual communication. The one thing I think is it continues to come back before us, and I know it's early on, but you had some things that were, I think, called visual studies, maybe some examples. And so right now, we do have the color rendering, which is helpful. In the future, I'd like to understand a little bit more about material applications. Sure, there's probably a little bit more color that you guys would be proposing, and then maybe differences in material application. So a little bit more clarity on that would be helpful as we continue to move forward, but I don't know, in terms of a conceptual package, it's very well put together.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would, you know, I presume that you'll have a signage package that will be a separate approval. And so what, you know, what you put into this, what you bring into the future as a separate application will be important as well. So we will. I do want to actually add one thing, although I would have initially thought about the stair coming off this building, integrating into the steel framework, but it's just, I do want to point out, too, so those of you who don't know this building next door to it, you have 500 South Front. I think it may be at 50 years now or more.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, but also it has its own architectural significance, it was an award with the AIA, so I would actually advocate that you maybe potentially sort of leave that building be, because I think then we're muddying the waters of how we're interacting with an award-winning piece of architecture that's now that we can't argue. And I'd rather sort of just say, probably keep your projects to your project and maybe not. You know, you can coexist right next to it, I think, pretty successfully, and your rendering, I think you're coexisting and still working out.
Yeah.
That might be a better avenue, only because we'll have to consider the age of the modern building right next door to you. And, you know, the shift in the facade will say. Yeah, but I mean, there's a whole modernist, postmodern story to that building. So you might have at least want to start here generally with that. Just in regard to, yeah, what is newly historic and restricted now to just 5%.
I have something for staff. So I haven't had a chance to review the color rendering yet, but it does look like there's an additional window that's not shown in the drawings. So we just tend to be cautious for, you know, creating new openings in masonry. Is that a proposal that it would be a new opening?
So the current opening, there's a mezzanine level inside here that's below where the top of the window currently exists. So that second window above reflects the current pole size in the building. This image, we have a smaller window than it's the current pole.
Yeah. We updated since seeing that opening.
Okay, so is there a mullion in place, or like a separation?
In our imagery, it might not be correct, we'll fully develop this, but there is a floor level where that masonry is shown in the rendered image.
And it's brick in between.
Floor right now is lower than the top of the window.
Yes.
And so what are you guys thinking in terms of the proposal?
So if we're proposing a garage door, we will need to, if it is to be opened, it needs to open under the existing floor. So then with the remaining space above the garage door, we would propose a test also window to make the hole the same size. As this.
So you wouldn't adjust the size?
No.
But this shows another window, right?
Yes. which we would integrate them together, I guess.
You know, what Jack was saying, is make sure you don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not offering any other feedback on it, right?
Can we just go to the current photos? I just want to make sure I understand. Best feedback.
We also have some interior photos showing that we can.
Okay, yeah, that would be helpful. Kim.
Can't wait to see it again.
Oh, board.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And moving on to 1462 Brighton Road. If you can close this thing for here, raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth and testify before the commission this evening.
Yes.
Yeah, you state your full name and association with the property for record.
Tom Creeder, about 1462 Brighton owner.
Stephanie McMillan, owner.
Yeah.
This application for 1462 Brighton Road is a conceptual application. The proposal is to remove an existing metal awning and metal railings at the front entrance north elevation, to construct a new porch with wood columns and metal railings, wood decking, and architectural asphalt shingles on the existing concrete block foundation, to infill the southeasterly front door opening with herringbone brick, and then for a new side porch to remove an existing metal awning, and to construct a new porch with wood columns and metal railings with decking and architectural asphalt shingles. And then there's a proposal for fencing to install split face block columns with limestone caps and metal fencing at the front yard. So an application for a new front porch, new window openings, and demolition of a rear addition and construction of a new addition was previously approved at the October 25th, 2022 HRC hearing, different owner, different applicants, which is for reference. So at the September 5th business meeting, the commission noted they have some concern on the proposed mix of metal and wood materials for the porch. The commission suggested the applicant submit photos of similar porches to better show what the applicant is planning to propose. The commission noted concern with the proposed fence style with the brick columns, suggested maybe a simple wrought iron or a simple wood picket fence could be supported. The commission asked if any landscaping is being proposed at this time. The commission noted concern with the proposed side porch appearing out of scale. Historic mapping indicates that there was not a porch there historically. Commission believes that there was likely a small covering similar to what's there now and could support a small landing at that area as well if needed. The commission noted that they could support alteration of the later door to a window, but less comfortable with infilling the entire opening. So this is a conceptual application, so the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future HRC meeting, and so no action was required. The basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 316.11, standards for alteration, and the City Code 316.13, standards for site improvements, and then the guidelines regarding porches and stoops and regarding fences.
I think we provided like better pictures like before the last Wednesday. So I don't know if that's
Yeah, unless we receive them, we can definitely check.
okay.
So we don't have those today?
No, we don't stay.
Whether existing or.
Proposed. So it has a more clear drawing showing like how the porch will look. I guess one of the things I was anxious to know is like what are we considering historic? Because you know, like that front door's not historic, that awning's not historic. I mean, the concrete steps aren't historic. I'm just trying to understand what we're going for. We had taken pictures of like a bunch of fences and porches in the neighborhood. What the porch that we're trying to achieve is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Ohio Avenue and Brighton condos that were just built. It's like by Mulberry.
No. So the email that we submitted, the additional photos and the different pictures, obviously you guys didn't get that information. So is there can we get a continuance or a continuation so we can, so you guys can have those
Photos
photos?
conceptual today, so it wouldn't be taking any vote on it. We need those like final materials and things fleshed out to be able to take that vote. So we can definitely discuss. And you're welcome to come back next time as well with another conceptual or request for action depending on where you're ready with the application process.
Walk me through, by the way, because I don't know. I know you had a previous set of drawings approved, right? For
So it was a different owner for the same property. They had a previous set approved.
Yeah, like this house sat vacant for 2 years. The people that submitted that application, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were on drugs, but like they didn't do anything to this house when we bought it. The house is basically condemned. All we're trying to do is put, you know, a front porch on that matches like a new development at the corner of Brighton and Ohio, which would have like, you know, wood.
But that is an all new building versus this is a historic home.
Yeah, so tell me what I can do then. I mean, that's what I want to know, because the biggest thing about the fence is like, you know, we've had people break in our house, we're concerned with safety, we had things stolen from us. I don't think a 3-foot fence, wood picket fence, prevents that. You know, this is all at our expense. We're willing to, you know, pay more money to protect our house, which would be adding, you know, brick columns to make the fence taller. I mean, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand what this house has that other houses in our neighborhood doesn't. Like, is there a specific fence that there's a historic map showing what it looked like? Because if there is, I'd love to see it, because I would replicate it.
What I think the commission's recommendation though is that the fence with these brick columns is too heavy. So if you went with an all wrought iron metal design, it would be acceptable to mostly.
Can I raise it more than 3 feet?
And that's probably the tough sell, but.
Yeah, so what I would suggest with the fence is that it has some landscaping that accompanies it. So you have your fence and then there's a little bit of something to soften the appearance of that. And if you find some good examples from the neighborhood of what's been.
Well, that's what I understand. We found plenty of examples of, I mean, it's hard to find examples of what the like requirements are in the neighborhood. Like there's plenty of fences with
You
like.
can find a lot of just wrought iron fences going down front, right?
Sure, but like there's no wood picket fences. That's why I was confused. I mean, there's like one.
I think that's the overall message though that you're trying to is that the big brick columns with caps is probably what's too heavy. Is what it
Visually, yeah.
that's the more important comment. You're not really the lighter wooden picket fence is gonna feel lighter. The all cast iron, you know, all metal fence is gonna feel.
I think it's needs a metal fence, fan of the big on.
Yeah.
Have you been able to do any research online, look for old pictures of this house?
I mean, we have. It's really hard to find like anything past like, I would say Ohio.
Have we done any research of the?
So there's a partial image. It's, you know, the image is originally for the house next door. These were listed services from real estate. So we're able to kind of capture a little bit of a sliver. The overall fencing, so the guidelines recommend those either the metal or the wood picket for new fences unless there's historic documentation. And that's so to avoid historicizing or creating that false sense of history and also to avoid kind of like walling off of properties. So that's where those guidelines are coming from. So generally, when we introduce a new element, we try to make sure it's simple, it's not competing with the house. And it's better to be simple rather than ornate unless there's documentation that that's how it was historically.
Wasn't historic 50 years plus?
40 years, yeah.
That's why like the photos of the 90s, wouldn't we not want to?
No, we want you to paint the house, do stuff to the house that makes it look like this one.
Exactly. So like that awning, those awnings are, so one awning goes across. Okay, yeah.
It's the only house that has it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So there was a period of time where there were commissions, right? Stuff got happened with the houses in the
Yeah.
neighborhoods, like where you put.
Yeah.
So we're trying to upgrade the whole district for historic properties up to the next level. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, because like what's screwed up about that is you can kind of see in that picture that how that door right there, like where the little metal awning is, just like I don't know if the people prior to us took those stairs out, but it just goes out to like nothing. I mean, it's like 4 foot drop.
Right.
So we were just gonna put like a little, that's what, and I, unfortunately, I uploaded it, but I guess it didn't get here, but there's a more of a, just a little landing, like a little balcony, just for security purposes. We don't also want people to like be able to like walk into our house off the street. Cause we've had people like pounding our windows and stuff. So, I mean, we were hoping that the fence would be a barrier.
Is there, I think that the issue is where we're saying, like, you can go back to, we're not offended by a fence, I think we need to see it by it. Now, I did notice in here, by the way, on page 30 here, you originally did have, it looks to be really old stone on a retaining wall there.
Yeah, see, there you go. I'll put that back.
And so while you have while you're saying you want a fence higher than 3 foot, there may be a case here, Jacqueline, that they could put back a retaining wall and then put your fence on top of that, set back a little bit, and that is going to give you a lot more height from that side. Well, I think we need to see a comprehensive.
Okay.
I think, so I did sort of, I was trying to give options, and I figured that might be your guys' response, but just putting like those, the split face CMU is, I think, original, and you see that in some of the other.
Original stone was always, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think like, I guess it probably wasn't supposed to be originally exposed, but I think like that porch, when they like excavated the dirt away, that's now is what is exposed. That maybe it's not split face, but it's like own old like masonry stone blocks. I was gonna suggest putting a split face, like maybe 18-inch retaining wall, and then put the fence on top of that, which I think I put an elevation of it.
I think we have to see, just know that like in modern commercial materials are not going to meet the depth was actually appropriate district.
Sure.
So it would be very defined, really appropriate materials that you want, like natural stone products.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the number one. Right, the quality of that wall is more irregular, natural stone versus like regular 8x16 CMU with the split face, which I don't think would look appropriate. And there are products that you can put a CMU product and face it with something irregular. You're gonna want to make sure you take the cues from something that looks really appropriate from a store standpoint. Not try to put something modular, modular like stone or dry stack stuff.
And using a modern building to make your comparison for trying to avoid. Yeah.
Well, it's really just the columns, the wood column. We were just trying to match the, I mean,
It doesn't fit the building, sorry. But I like the idea of doing the stone retaining wall and then the fence on top of that, that would give you some height and give you some protection. We're very sympathetic to the problems, right? We just have guidelines within which we need to work. And so we are constrained by what we are allowed to offer or approve and what we are.
sure. Yeah, no, it's just killing us because we just want like click that on you every time I look at it. Hate it.
With the awning, it does, to me, it looked like there's precedence too, for, I think the porch was probably larger.
Oh, yeah.
You can see on the ring there,
Yeah.
there's.
Yeah, it like came
the
over.
transition. So, and the way that pad is shaped, just, I think I'm on board with where you guys are headed with that,
Yeah, it actually returned.
yeah, so I take as many cues as you can from the existing building because that earned you points with us because you're trying to understand how the building was historically and make your case based on that. I think in general, I'm curious, you said there's improved information. I 2 suggestions. One, if you guys are referencing things that you like and you want us to see it, and I know historic examples are gonna be better. If it is something newer, there might be something historic about the new example that we can read into that, just present it to us so we can compare. And then the other thing too is it sounds like next time we talk with you, you have updated imagery of the proposal. And I think we can probably give you a more full reaction to what's being proposed.
I would additionally encourage you would benefit probably from working with a designer or architect who can kind of really clearly take this in drawing form, which will really help
get the proportions right, those sorts of things, because it's, you may have all the best intent in the world, but communicating it wrong to this commission may not get you the vote, just because we couldn't understand your visual, what you're trying to get to.
The other thing I would say, I find this really nice, and the stone arch over the central window, I think is what, would be laid up, so long angle. You know, if you could talk back and forth to that, it feels like the house, building the house even more attractive.
Yeah, yeah, it's just frustrating. I mean, we live catty corner to us is a house with like plywood boarded up windows. And
We feel that you're working on. Yes.
so it's like, I mean, the neighborhood's growing, so we're trying to improve it, I mean, the best we can.
We get that and we want to be supportive.
And another item that might be helpful, since there has been an approval before, I think we might have included the initial approval, but you sent copies of just the feedback from that approval, so you kind of get a sense of where this has been and what that feedback has already been. It's sort of like a cheat sheet since it's already gone through the commission, received that approval. It may not be what you're looking for, when to do a copy, but you can kind of get an idea of what the commission's response to some things might be.
Okay.
Transfer, is that in here, the prior?
The private approval is in your box, by the way. I do want to point that, I remember when this project came through in prior, that's why I was challenging on the section. And we did allow the applicant to fill in the door on the right with a window. Generally, the one thing we don't do is allow filling in doors for windows. They had made a case about the use of the inside of that space requiring them to go to a window. We did not support, I think they made a similar request about filling in a brick, and we just were not really there on that. So as much as I can urge you to consider coming back in with a window and fill rather than a door.
You gonna pay for it?
What is that?
So you're gonna pay for it? That's right where the stairwell is, so I mean, that's also like a point of concern. You can like fall down the stairs or right out the window. I mean, you can,
We don't control purview on what's on the inside.
I'm just saying. I mean, I've done masonry work, that was my intent with like doing a herringbone, like filled in window. Cause even like actually that, I mean, there's not a good picture, but like when they cut that door in, they didn't put a header in and the brick's like terribly like installed. It's like, I mean, I can't wait to take that awning off to see what's going on because it's like covering up some of it. But I mean,
If staff felt it was appropriate to make a recommendation, support the removal of the awning so that the applicant could actually provide a better package. I think we might be supportive of you going.
we'll deliver it to someone's house. If you guys want it, we'll bring it
In
over.
all seriousness, is that, that would help expedite. I think we could show a vote of support during the awning, since it's not an original historic item. At least that way, then the applicant could come back really well prepared on the story of the porch, unput the window, take lots of pictures, show us this header condition, show us all sorts of things.
Shows where the outline of the porch was before.
Sure.
Hopefully that will align with your new thinking.
Jack, do you mind if we take a vote on support or removal of that with benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to make sure that, when you remove it, everything is stable, it's not causing damage from removing. Then we don't want to like upset or create.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. We'll get someone to do it.
However you do it, just so that it's, when you're taking it out, it's not creating some, a more adverse condition or something.
Sure. So for a record on this, then I guess I would entertain a motion of support to remove the awning only on the front of the house for the benefit of the applicant, preparing a full package for it.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, with discussion. Of course, with the one caveat that is with all cabinets, caveats that materials are affected underneath if there's any issues for water intrusion. Shoot your cabinets, so we can take that off.
That's the other thing that should be careful, you don't create a problem by demoing that sooner than needed. Especially it might take some time to get through this process, so we don't have an exposed condition that like they have a about what those ramifications might be.
I would say that to amend the motion with those caveats, we appropriate for additional work with the awning. or prior to remediate any issues that are.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes on this item for you. What other feedback can we give you this evening?
I think just one note to the previous COA, the drawings are very clear. I think that's kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah, even though the content's different, I get a clarity level, you can benefit from seeing these drawings if we have not already. Just, that's kind of going to help you get your approvals of what you want to do for your porch, because you're gonna need details showing how the porch comes together, handrail details, and it's gotta be all scale drawings that really shows comprehensively what's happening. We're not concerned about the floor plan that's inside the house, that may be a building issue where you can get additional costs for building units, but we would need a package that inspector would go out there, really we could rule on, vote on, and then the inspector can follow and say, yes, this is how it's going to be.
So that's what we would need in order to approve, in order to give you conceptual feedback, or to see something a little bit less good line.
I already met with the city about the porch details and like I guess the framing portion of it, but I guess. Well, I mean, it doesn't help that you guys didn't get everything that we had submitted
The
either,
original photos, yeah.
because that would have helped, but
What kind of wood materials would you suggest for the porch columns?
As far as what we
Like, what would you propose or suggest that it look like? We went literally down Brighton, and I can't think of the side street. They have a very pretty porch that's wood, like with trim. It's the picture that was submitted, but it wasn't,
We call it this, you know what the order is for?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Were they really plain?
No, they had some detailed trim. They were trimmed out.
Were they fluid?
I don't know what that means.
yeah, I think they were included. That's what we were trying to do. I mean,
So like a scale drawing is what we would need, and you would propose what materials those are to us. That's how that would work. So that's what we're asking.
we avoid being your architect for it. I guess that is a design aesthetic decision that we would prefer to do. Honestly, I'd be err on the side of caution that you don't put so much detail on that you create Disney, where no historic item existed such as that. And this home, I think, had sort of, probably a pretty simple house. It might have been trimmed around the base.
Right,
It's tops.
probably your.
And even on the original previous application, I think they were proposing a very simple square column and the trimmed down base and trimmed down head. And it wasn't too over there, like, you're seeking prefab columns and other, and there's a lot of different options on columns. We just defer to you and work with your designer, prospective, air package. So great.
And we don't necessarily suggest designers, but I would just say if there is an existing package, that means that designer has all the information for the previous package.
Sure.
I thought that could be a spot to start because that's a decent amount of work for any person to just get existing conditions. But that person might already have that just as a thought.
I feel we need to say that Homeless Landmarks Foundation has a great mark and a lot of very knowledgeable people, and they will charge you for you to go and specify with them and say, help us figure out what makes sense for our needs.
sweet.
You know, make one other comment about fencing. So that really reads like part of the elevation of the house once that closed. So, you know, when you have grade changes and fencing is doing this or doing this, and it should all work together with the texture of the house. So just be careful of grade issues and little weird changes because it'll really be noticeable. It's as close to the style.
Yeah, I think if you keep going, there's one more where I was like,
Yeah.
that, like, that's what I was, maybe we don't have to do the brick columns, but we could do like, just the,
You just said.
yeah. Yeah, or like just do the wrought iron on top of like.
We'll wait till you come back when they thoroughly vetted it.
Yeah, just.
Thoroughly vetted?
Building and zoning, I've made a comment of the vision triangles, just incorporating that department's thing along the planning HRC columns.
Yeah, yeah, so that actually will be set back.
You might need to seek a variance for the vision triangle that has been done.
Oh, really?
We then make a motion of support for that variance. The variance is approved by council, by departments. I like giving advice, but we could also provide with the kind of stuff for the variance as well.
Yeah, 'cause there's that one house, like, the Castle House on Brighton, the old German, like,
Yeah.
there's
So
a
that's
house.
not, that's not a one, so that.
Well, no, but the house next to it is on a corner. It's got like these beautiful, like, wrought iron spiky fence. It's like 8 feet tall, but it's got like same kind of like block and columns, but
I'm gonna guess, if that's in the district, it might have been installed kind of before the commission's first.
oh, I'm sure,
So it's not tall.
I'm sure most of the things were installed.
Yeah, so just making sure with zoning about the easement, or what requirements they would need, and I don't know if there's a right of way, because I recall something of that nature coming up in the prior review where the different owner, where they couldn't do a couple of things that they wanted to do that would have been supported by HRC, and something like the wraparound porch, or some things just because of the way the property might spur, or something was odd about it. So just double check.
That help give you a little bit of insight on.
Yeah, never had to do
We
this.
we encourage you to preserve the house. You're lucky we're a steward of the street here. It's actually a cool house. It's great. It's on like.
Yeah, we refinished that front door. That took it off and like sanded it and like stained it and it looked awesome. And
Just make sure you submit an application for any exterior work, including refinishing or repairing, like a door, repainting. A lot of those can be staff approved, we just want to make sure that we get the approval for it.
I'll take better pictures so you can see. I mean, and do anything. I get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
For the exterior,
okay.
in a graceful way, she's trying to say.
Yes.
We want you to know how we're gonna do this.
Yeah. Leave it the way it is and
Thank you.
Great, thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Okay, going back to case number 3, that's the 330 Lockport Avenue. We can go ahead and motion to continue on that. There's a motion for a second.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, any further discussion? And none, all those in favor say aye. Been wonderful. And are there any items, additional items of old business?
No items of old business and no items of new business.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Okay, having a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Abstention, nays. Okay, we are adjourned at 6:02 PM. Thanks, everybody.